Hey, welcome to Tabletop Skirmish Games. I'm Lee, and in this video, we'll be taking a deep dive into the Idoneth Deepkin for WARCRY. We'll be using the Sentinels of Order WARCRY supplement book, and in that we'll find out exactly what the Idoneth Deepkin are up to in the 8 points and how they fit in to the narrative of WARCRY. So we'll take a really good look at the Warband, the story behind them, and then we'll see how they feature and what kind of tactics we can use for them. We'll also use the book to go through all their fighter abilities and their leader abilities, and then we'll go through all the fighter cards available, and then we'll go and look at the Games Workshop website as we go through the video, taking a look at all the sets and seeing how we can build a WARCRY warband around them. Beneath the tempestuous waves of the mortal realms exists a secretive elven empire. From the abyssal darkness they emerge to steal away the souls of those they encounter. They are the Idoneth Deepkin, and they are damned. The Idoneth never enter the 8 points lightly, and corruption hangs heavily in the air of that dread place, and there is nothing the Deepkin fear more than to be consumed by chaos once again. Yet the Bloodwind spoil is undeniably rich in souls, and few would question the disappearance of a warband or shanty town. The true elves of the Achaelian warrior caste lead these soul raider warbands into the lands of the Varanspire, riding atop beasts of the deep, while the Namati underclass, those cursed with withering souls, fight on foot with great sweeping blades or elegant bows. These warbands strike without warning, surging into war camps or sorceress keeps before leaving just as swiftly with their bounty of souls. As they disappear into the eldritch mists summoned by the Ishiran priests, they leave only a sense of lingering dampness and the soulless bodies of their foes. That's a great introduction to these really interesting fighters. I think these will make a really cool warband to put together and explore a little bit more. In the book, there's only 12 fighters available, and 8 of those are leaders. And so let's start going through all of those now. But for all of the fighters, whether they're a leader or regular fighter, with the Idoneth Deepkin rune mark, they're going to have this fighter ability, which is a double called Low Tide. So I'll go through that first, and then we won't have to do it for each of the fighters as we go through their cards. Okay, so this double is called Low Tide, and this is going to set the scene and give us an idea of the tactics we might play and how we're going to use this warband in our game. But a fighter can only use this ability if it is the first battle round. This fighter can make a bonus move action a number of inches equal to the value of this ability. So I guess here in the first round of the battle, these guys surge forward, covering a lot of ground, and it's only a double, so there's a good chance you're going to get like a high double here, and so you're looking for a 5 or 6 to really make the most of this. But this is the only ability that they're all going to be able to use, and it's a real shame that you can only use it in the first battle round, because after that there's no ability that's going to apply to every fighter. But there we go, that's the first one. So the idea here, push them forward and really attack fast at the beginning of the battle. But every leader is also going to have an ability, and this is a triple called High Tide. And again, I'll go through this now so we don't have to do it for each of the 8 leaders that we'll see a little bit later on. And with this one, this High Tide triple ability, a fighter can use this ability only if it is the third battle round. Add 1 to the attacks and strength characteristic of attack actions that have a range characteristic of 3 or less made by friendly fighters while they are within 6 inches of this fighter. Okay, so now we're being restricted to just the third round, so we can only use it in the third round, and add in 1 to attack and strength characteristics of both attack actions that have a range characteristic of 3 or less. So, you know, this could be good, but to limit it to just that third round, I guess this is kind of signifying waves of attack from these guys. So yeah, a bit limited, but those are the fighter and leader abilities that any of the fighters or the leaders can use, and so as long as they've got the rune mark for the Idoneth Deepkin, they can make use of those. Okay, let's get started with our first of the 12 fighter cards, and this is our first leader, the Achaelian King, and this is a great looking model to get things started with, and this guy's going to come in at 280 points. He's got movement 10, Toughness 4 and can take a huge amount of wounds at 38. He's got that leader rune mark for the the triple high tide we've already seen, and he's also going to get another ability we haven't seen yet, and he's also got the fly rune mark. No, he's not mounted, although he is mounted. He's not classed as mounted, but he can fly, so that's really great, covering those 10 inches of distance as well. That's a really great ability to have. The weapon is going to be a range of 2, making 4 attacks, strength 4, dealing 2 to 5 on a crit. So a fair amount of damage we can put out here, not overly strong, but I think it's really this speed and this distance we can cover that's going to be pretty impressive with this, especially making use of that double low tide ability that we went through earlier. Adding to that in the first round would be a huge amount of movement. So a great start, but let's have a look at the ability, and each of the Idoneth Deepkin leaders that we'll see at the beginning, the first 4, 5 and 6, will have different abilities, so we'll go through them each one at a time, and this one is going to have a double called Storm of Blows, and for this we add half the value of this ability, rounding up to the attacks characteristic of the next attack action made by this fighter, this activation that has a range characteristic of 3 or less. So for a double, this isn't too bad. Had half the value of the ability, always rounded up to the attacks characteristic of the next attack action, so we can only do it for 1 during this activation, but not bad for a double. This is going to certainly see some damage with that 4 attack strength 4, dealing 2 to 5 on a crit. And if you like this model, then you can pick him up for £30, so pretty pricey, but I think it's pretty impressive, so potentially well worth the money, and a great leader to have leading your warband in Warcry. Now on to our next leader, which is the Ishiran Tidecaster, and she's going to set you back 150 points with a movement 5, toughness 3, taking 20 wounds. We got the leader rune mark and the mystic rune mark, so we're going to get another leader ability we haven't seen yet. 2 weapon options here, so we kind of got a magical figure. So this one is a minimum of 3, maximum of 7 weapon range with 2 attacks, strength 3, dealing 3 to 6 on a crit. And if we get up close, we can have a range of 2, 3 attacks, strength 3, dealing 1 to 4 on a crit. So for 150 points, this isn't too bad, and pretty much what we'd expect from a mystical leader. Those stats are pretty average throughout for all the different warbands you can choose. 20 wounds is always nice, and that movement 5 is good as well. But let's see what this mystic rune mark is going to bring ability wise, and this is a double called Riptide. And for this we pick a visible enemy fighter within 12 inches of this fighter. Until the end of the battle round, subtract 1 from the attacks characteristic to a minimum of 1 of attack actions made by that fighter. So this is pretty good. You know, up to 12 inches is great, so you can certainly keep this Tidecaster out of the fray and, you know, protect them a little bit while they use this ability. Again, it's only a double, so we can get in there nice and easily and certainly make it work for us. But yeah, so this is pretty good. I like this until the end of the battle round as well. So you pick one of those enemy fighters, reduce those attack characteristics, and this would be awesome on a real powerful enemy fighter. But here we go. If you like this model, Ishiran Tidecaster, the RRP is 1750, but I'll put links to all these in the description below to Element Games, where you can save up to 20% on these prices. Next, we've got an Ishiran Soul Render and 170 points. He's got a movement 5, toughness 3, taking 22 wounds. Got the leader rune mark and a rune mark we haven't seen yet. His weapon is a range of 2, 4 attacks, strength 4, dealing 2 to 5 on a crit. And now he's also got another weapon, so this could be this kind of swordfish looking creature next to him, and this has got a range of 3, and it's going to bite, I guess, and then it's going to make 3 attacks, strength 4, dealing 2 to 4 on a crit. So this is a really interesting fighter, a great leader option, pretty powerful with that other option there of that using that fish to get in there and do some damage as well. I really like that. I'm noticing the toughness isn't great on these guys though. With a toughness 3, that's not cool. So having 22 wounds, you're going to need those for sure, because that 3 isn't brilliant. Certainly going up against fighters with a 4 or 5 strength, going to struggle a little bit there. But let's see what the ability is, and this is another double, so I like in these doubles, and this is called Hangman's Knot. Pick a visible enemy fighter within 3 inches of this fighter and roll a dice. On a 3+, until the end of the battle round, that fighter cannot make move or disengage actions. Alright, so this is quite good. So it's just pick a visible enemy fighter, as long as they're within 3 inches, so you've got to be quite close, and they've got to be visible. And on a 3+, then they're not going to be able to move or disengage. So that's pretty good, and that's till the end of the battle round too. So they can't like do it just for one activation. This is going to apply to both their activations. So this is pretty cool. You can use your Hangman's Knot to bind them and prevent them from moving. So this is pretty interesting, and then speed away, I guess, with that 5 movement. But here's the model if you want to see this one as well and pick it up. RRP £17.50, but don't forget Element Games can save you up to 20%. Our 4th leader is the Ishiran Soul Squire, and this is quite low at 140 points with a movement 5, toughness 3, taking 20 wounds. Got the leader rune mark and this flaming skull rune mark, so yet another ability we haven't seen yet. The weapon is a range of 2, 3 attacks, strength 4, dealing 2 to 4 on a crit. So this guy's pretty low, 140 for a leader's nice. The movement's good, taking a bit of damage there at 20 points, but still that toughness is so low. And 3 attacks, strength 4, 2 to 4 isn't too bad at all. His leader abilities, he's going to get that triple high tide that we went through at the beginning. But let's see what this flaming skull is going to bring us. And this one's a triple this time, called Scrive Shoal. Pick a visible enemy fighter within 10 inch of this fighter and roll 6 dice. For each 3 to 5, allocate 1 damage point to that fighter. For each 6, allocate 2 damage points to that fighter. Okay, so this isn't bad. 10 inches is a good distance. They've got to be visible. And you can simply just roll 6 dice, so it's not tied into the value of the ability. So I like that. Nice and simple. And, as long as you get 3 or more, you're going to allocate some damage points, but it's those 6s we want, because then we can allocate 2 points for every 6. So this is pretty cool. I mean he's low, 140 points. This isn't a bad ability to have, and it's a triple. So yeah, not too bad. They're not overpowered, but not too bad at all. And this miniature, if you like it, is £17.50 again. So these are quite expensive if you want to start using these as leaders, but it's an option to just buy one of them and then make the tactics of your warband and maybe the narrative fit around them. Next, we're going to take a look at this set called the Achaelian Morsar Guard, and they're going to include a leader option that you can build, and also 2 other regular fighters. And the leader is an Achaelian Morsar Guard Lokian Prince, bit of a mouthful, at 265 points. He's going to have a movement 10, toughness 4, can take a huge 35 wounds. He can fly, not mounted again, although he is mounted. He's got a skull on fire there for a rune mark we haven't seen, and the leader rune mark. The weapon for this leader is a range of 2, making 3 attacks, strength 4, dealing 2 to 5 on a crit. So not bad, 265 points is high though, but we are getting that movement 10, and he can fly. 35 wounds is really nice, and he can certainly do a little bit of damage there with those 3 attacks, strength 4, 2 to 5 on a crit. So we like that, but let's see what this ability is going to be. And now this is a regular fighter ability that applies to him, and he can use this, and it's a quad called Biovoltaic Blast. Allocate a number of damage points equal to the value of this ability to all visible enemy fighters within 3 inches of this fighter. So that's really nice. I really like these ones. The K-Knight Shadow Stalkers have got an awesome quad that's just like a big bomb going off. So I really like this one. This is going to have a similar effect. And yeah, very, you want to get 5 or 6s for this quad for sure and get it amongst the enemy. Let this quad go off and then use that huge 10 flight movement to escape. So great ability there. But you can also use these models as regular Achaelian Morsar Guards, and these are going to be 200 points each. They've still got that movement 10 and toughness 4. Can't take as many wounds though at 25. They've got the same ability we just saw, and they can fly. Obviously they don't have the leader rune mark, so they come with that really powerful quad. Their weapon is a range of 2, 3 attacks, strength 3, dealing 2 to 4 on a crit, so that they can make the same number of attacks but not as strong and not doing as much damage on a crit. But I still think for 200 points to get one of these in the warband to use that ability is really nice. And I think to get this set for £30, you're getting 3 really nice models there. I think this could be a lot better value than the others, although I do like the others as my leaders, and I haven't decided which one I'd go for yet. Next, we got a similar setup with the Achaelian Ishlayan Guard at £30, and you can have a leader and other regular fighters as well. If I'm getting these names wrong, please correct it in the comments below. That'd be great. But first of all, you can build an Achaelian Ishlayan Guard Lokian Prince at 260 points. He's got a movement 10, toughness 4, can take 35 wounds. He's got the fly rune mark, leader rune mark, and one we haven't seen yet, which is the bulwark rune mark. and so that's a new ability. His weapon is a range of 1, so this is closer. He has to be closer than the last one. He can make 4 attacks, strength 4, dealing 2 to 5 on a crit. So I think I'd prefer these closer range weapons because you usually get 1 extra attack, and I think that's really worth it. But let's see what this Bulwark Rune Mark is going to bring ability-wise. And again, this is going to be a leader ability. This is a fighter ability. And this one's called Biovoltaic Barrier. Until the end of the battle round, count each critical hit from attack actions that target this fighter as a hit instead. Okay, so for this is a bit of a defensive one, and I guess this plays into the idea they've got that shield going on. So to the end of the battle round, anyone who attacks them now, any critical hits are just going to be hits instead. So that's a different one. I don't think I've seen that. I can't really remember that on any other warbands. So that's interesting, and just add into their toughness, I suppose. But you can also make these as Achaelian Ishlayan guards, and these are 195 points. They're going to get that same ability we just saw. They can also fly. They've got that 10 movement range, toughness 4, but instead of taking 35 wounds, they can take 25. And they've got a weapon range of 1, 4 attacks, strength 3, dealing 2 to 4 on a crit. So these are 65 points less, but I think you can do a fair bit with them. And I don't think I'd be using one of these as a leader. I'd just go with either the Echelon guard, but I really like the Morsar guard better. So if I wanted to go for one of these like eel riding looking dudes, I'd probably pick those. So this is a great set, £30, another 3 really nice models there to choose from. But I don't even think you'd use them all in a warband though. So maybe you could split this with a friend or even pick singles up on eBay. Next, we're going to look at the Namati Thralls, and again, one of these can be a leader, and then the rest could be fighters, or they could all be fighters, it's up to you. And the leader would be a Namati Thrall Icon Bearer, and this is going to be 140 points with a movement 5, toughness 3, taking 16 wounds. You've got the leader rune mark and 1 rune mark for a fighter ability we haven't seen yet. The weapon is a range of 1, 4 attacks, strength 4, dealing 2 to 5 on a crit. So for 140 points, we could do a fair bit of damage here, but that toughness is so small at 3 and can't take that many wounds either. So I definitely wouldn't be using an Icon Bearer as a leader. Maybe as a hero. I probably wouldn't even choose a hero either. Certainly with these other options we've just seen, I think they'd be a lot better. But before I make my mind up, let's take a look at the ability. And this is a double called Sweeping Blow. And for this, we roll 1 dice for each visible enemy fighter within 2 inches of this fighter. On a 5, allocate 1 damage point to the fighter being rolled for. On a 6, allocate a number of damage points to the fighter being rolled for equal to the value of this ability. Alright, so this is for every visible fighter within 2 inches. So if you can get this guy in amongst it, they can certainly take some sneaky damage points away. And you know, if they can get in amongst 4 or 5 players, there's a good chance you could do some damage there. So that's pretty interesting. I didn't see that one coming for an ability for these. But that's our double Sweeping Blow. And if you wanted to make these models into regular Namati Thralls, you can do that too, and they're going to come in at 80 points, so we're getting a lot lower now. They've got a movement 5, toughness 3, take 8 wounds. They've got that same rune mark, so they can use that ability too, so not bad for 80 points. They've got a weapon range of 1, 4 attacks, strength 3, and dealing 2 to 4 on a crit. So this isn't too bad actually. The strength isn't very good, and the toughness isn't, but the damage output's quite nice. And so's that double ability. So that's pretty cool. And these guys, again, they're going to come in at £30. You're going to get 10 miniatures. And you could certainly build a warband just out of these if you wanted to. And now we've got the Namati Reavers. And again, this is similar. You're going to get a set with 10 miniatures for £30. You can make one of them a leader and the rest fighters. And that leader is going to be a Namati Reaver Icon Bearer. And 135 points. This will be your lowest leader option. Again, I don't know if I'd use them as a leader or not. But they've got a movement 6. That's nice. Toughness 3. Takes 16 wounds. Got the leader rune mark. And one other we haven't seen yet. And again, that's going to be a fighter ability. And here they've got 2 weapon options. So these are our range fighters now. They've got a minimum range of 3, maximum 15. They can make 3 attacks, strength 3, dealing 1 to 4 on a crit. And then with the close-up weapon, it's a range of 1, 3 attacks, strength 4, dealing 1 to 3 on a crit. So not bad for that range weapon, being able to do 1 to 4 damage. That's okay. 135 points. That doesn't seem too bad for this fighter actually, and I like that 6 movement. That's really good. And so they can really stay out of the way and ping in those shots. But let's see what this ability is. And this has got the rune mark we see regularly for the kind of archers in the warbands. And this one is called Stormfire. And it's a double, so very low. Until the end of this fighter's activation, add 1 to the attacks characteristics of attack actions made by this fighter that target an enemy fighter more than 3 inches away. It's a really nice double. We can now make 4 attacks, strength 3, dealing 1 to 4 on a crit. So I like that. That's pretty good. Yeah, I think for 135 points, this could be an option for a hero maybe. But I certainly couldn't see me taking a warband in with this as my main leader. Although if you did buy this pack, this set, you could make a warband just out of them. But again, we can make our regular fighters, and these are the Namati Reavers. And these are coming in as our lowest point fighter for the whole Idoneth Deepkin at 75 points. Got that nice movement 6, toughness 3, taking 8 wounds. They've got a weapon range of 3 to 15, 2 attacks, strength 3, dealing 1 to 3 on a crit. And they've also got that ability, so they can boost it with a double Stormfire ability and get that a little bit higher. And they've also got another weapon choice if they get up close with a range 1, 3 attacks, strength 3, dealing 1 to 3 on a crit. And if you like these, for £30, it's another option to have a complete warband or just pick and choose between the leader and the fighters. Just to the end of the 12 fighter cards, so we've gone through all the fighters you can use now, but there's loads more models available on the Games Workshop website. And there's this guy, the Warden of Soul Ledgers, and I suppose you could proxy him, use him as a Soul Squire. This is a really cool one, the Achaelian Alapex, and I think this would be a contender for building, your own unique fighter card for this one. And that's something I do for the Patreons each month, and maybe we could do something around these and those new miniatures we saw recently that were released for Underworlds too. We've also got these larger models, the Eidolon of Mathlan Aspect of the Storm at £75. This is huge, probably too big for a leader in Warcry. Same for this one, Aspect of the Sea, very similar, same price. Pretty expensive leader if you wanted to go down that route. You've got Volturnus, High King of the Deep, who could easily be an Achaelian King proxy. And then this Achaelian Leviathan, £75, again, going to be a huge model. We'd have to kind of come up with our own fighter card for this one, I think, too. If you like the look of the fighter cards we've gone through in this video, then I think one good option would be to look at the Start Collecting set for the Idoneth Deepkin. And the RRP is £55, but you could save 20% or up to 20% with Element Games, so check that out. It'll be an affiliate link that I'll put in the description. Won't cost you extra. In fact, you could save that money, and for every sale with that link, I get a small commission. That helps me do loads of videos like this. But with this set, you get like loads of different fighters in there and almost a complete warband with a nice variety. You get options for the main kind of Soul Render, the Ishiran Soul Render leader, but you could also choose to go with the Icon Bearer or the Lokian Prince as your leader. So you've got some nice options with those. I'd go straight away with the Ishiran Soul Render, maybe take that Lokian Prince as a hero, and then that's also going to leave you with options for the Achaelian Morsar Guard. You could have a couple of those, and also the rest make it up with the Namati Thralls. So I think this is a really good set. There's some value in these starter sets for sure, and certainly this one, when you price up all those different sets individually, you're looking at what, £77.50, something like that. And so to be able to get that for £55 with 20% off potentially, I think that could be a really good deal and a great way to get started in Warcry with the Idoneth Deepkin. Another cool option could be this new Warhammer Underworld set that was released really recently for preview, and I think these look great. I'd love to build something out of this, come up with some unique cards for the crab and that fish, and I think there's a really nice selection here, and it's going to be like £25 RRP, so with our discount at Element Games, this is going to come out around £20, and I think this is a nice starting point for a warband for sure, and then maybe just pick up a few individual ones or split a set with some friends to bulk it out and get those points up. But I think these are really great. All the Underworld sets are perfect for Warcry. So unique. You get some really interesting characters. So if you haven't seen that yet, I've done a video on it and you can see that on the channel too. If you like this kind of content and would like to support the channel, then please check out my Patreon page. And thanks to everyone who's joined so far. It's really awesome. We hang out on Discord, talk about the hobby, share ideas and help each other out. And you'll get some perks there that you're not going to find anywhere else. So I'll put a link in the description and it'll be great to see you there. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'd love to hear what you think about the Idoneth Deepkin for Warcry. Not many fighter cards available for them, and not all that many models, but I think they could be quite fun to put together. Be really interesting to play. So yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Join in below in the comment section below. And thanks so much for watching. Please like if you like it, subscribe for more videos like this, and don't forget to hit that notification bell to join me next time on Tabletop Skirmish Games.